Hey guys, I'm David DeMuzio.
And I'm Lee Millard.
And today we're going to talk about whether or not you should go to Las Vegas for a hair transplant. So Lee runs VegasHairTransplants.com, and he is a very long-time friend of one of my best friends in the world, Steve Cook, who is the consultant that helped guide me through getting my hair transplants. How long have you known Steve?
I've known Steve for a little over 20 years. And Steve and I kind of have the same background. We've been through this. We've had multiple procedures. And our whole goal in all this is always, let's get the patient the best result possible in one surgery. Let's make sure we go through everything so there's no hidden agenda. They get everything honest from two guys like Steve and I have been doing this for over 20 years. We've seen thousands of patients. When you come to Vegas, we only do one patient a day. You get all the attention. The goal, like I said, it's always, let's frame your face. Mm-hmm. Let's put as much hair in your head as possible in one procedure. And when it grows out, you might only have needed one surgery. Because when somebody does it the right way, and they take their time, and they give you a maximum density, and that's the goal, then I'd say a lot of our patients will do one surgery, and they might come back for a touch-up, but many times they'll do one surgery, and they're done, because we take our time. It's quality. You know, we treat patients like they're VIPs. You know, everybody wants to be treated like a VIP, and they want a nice head of hair.
Yeah, and they want a nice view.
And they want a nice view.
So how many hair transplant procedures have you had? And what's your story? Like, when did you start balding and on all that? I already told them my story. So
I've had 8 hair transplant procedures.
8. Oh my goodness.
8 procedures, because in 1993, when I had my first surgery, back then I believe it was $28 a graft.
Wow.
So, and it was just when it was crossing over from the pluggy procedures to the individual follicular unit grafts. And it was expensive, and they only were doing 100 or 200 grafts at a time.
Wow.
So I believe my first procedure I had 200 grafts.
Okay.
So 200 grafts isn't going to do much.
Nothing. Yeah.
But they were still getting used to the whole one follicular unit at a time.
Okay. Wow.
Then the second procedure, I think I did maybe 400 or 500 grafts. So the reason why I did 8 procedures, because cost, number one, and they just didn't do big surgeries back then like they do now. So now what it took me 8 surgeries to do, you could definitely do in 2 surgeries. Some guys could do it in 1.
Wow.
If you go to a great doctor, it does great work. If you have a great team like we do, and they really care about the patient, they're going to get a great result. And I honestly don't want patients coming back and saying, you told me this and I didn't get that. So we really make a point of giving you the best possible procedure you can get in Vegas. And that's why we get patients flying in from Canada, from Hawaii, from New York. They fly to Vegas, and we treat them like VIPs. And we give you a travel allowance and all that. We put you up in a nice hotel. So that's why you need to come to Vegas for a
cool. Yeah, I mean, your hair looks great, so
Thank you.
it's great that it worked out.
Yes.
And so, how old were you when you first started noticing that you were going bald? And and do you mind saying how old you are now?
I'm 65.
Okay.
And I remember the day I owned a gym back in the 80s in Pennsylvania, and I remember walking in after a workout and looking in the mirror, and to myself I said, "You're going bald." My grandfather was bald. My uncles are bald. My dad's not bald, but they are, and so I got that. And it just kind of freaked me out. And then when I actually moved to Las Vegas, I was approached by somebody that worked in the hair industry, and they said, would you be willing to do some TV commercials for us for a hair transplant? So one thing led to another, and they did a couple hair transplants on me, which helped me get to my 8.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's been like one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, for 65 years old, I mean, especially, like, your hair looks great. Like, I mean, it's really, I feel like, good proof that. And how old were you when your first one done?
Probably, let's see, that was in 1993. 40 years old.
40 years old. Okay. So
Because
you weren't that young then. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
53 I was born, so
Yeah.
93 the first one, so yeah, 40 years
40
old.
years old. Okay.
But it was bothering me,
Yeah.
you know.
But I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is, because a lot of guys come into my channel and say things like, oh, you know, you're getting a hair transplant now, it's all gonna fall out. It's like, you know, you're making like this, you're like signing your own death sentence, like for your looks, basically, you know. And one, I think that if you think about how you're going into it in the right way, and you go into it with the right mindset and with the right game plan, as we talked about in some other videos, then I feel like you can set yourself up for success no matter what. You have a lot of contingency plans, but also just the fact that, you know, you're 65 years old and you don't look like you're balding. You know, you've got a nice looking head of hair. It goes to show that this is something that really can last, especially now, because you got it done when procedures weren't even being done very well. You know, they were in their infancy. So at this point in medical history, even if there aren't any improvements, which there most definitely will be, you can really have hair for the rest of your life. You know,
And you can live younger for the rest of your life, and that's the big thing. Because when the hairline starts going back, and you start looking bald, that's what freaks the guys, every guy out that I talk to.
Yeah.
It's like, but if we frame your face and put hair in there, even if you don't have it in the back, as long as you have it in the front, you look younger.
I went to a showcase last night here in Vegas, and it was funny because it was a 3-guy group, and the one guy was by far better than the other guys. I mean, he was like the star. This guy's voice was unbelievable, right? And he was bald. He was the only one in the group that was bald. So it was like all the other dudes, and then this bald guy. He's actually like a pretty good looking dude, but not like amazing looking. But with a head of hair, this guy, he's a star. You know, and I was just thinking to myself, and he was the only one in the group that played a bunch of instruments and stuff. I was thinking, man, you just need to throw a wig on that guy. I mean, he'd already gone pretty far. He was completely bald on top, you know? And I was like, if he just, all he needed was hair, and that guy was in a completely different level. Instead of being the one guy in the group of 3 with all the talent, he would just be the guy with all the talent. You know what I mean?
And the hair.
And the hair, exactly.